Let's talk about homeowners insurance. Now that the hurricane is coming through Mexico right now and the Caribbean, especially through everything that has to do with Riviera Maya and Yucatan, now people are wondering, should I have homeowners insurance in Mexico? First, you need to know that homeowners insurance is not mandatory in Mexico. You don't have to have it if you don't want to. It's not something you have to do. It's optional. So for the same reason, you don't have to have that expense if you don't want to. Most people have these like a fund separated aside in case something goes wrong because of the weather conditions, but usually people don't buy insurance because they don't need it. They'd rather fix everything themselves. And this goes to, I want to go back a little bit in history, why the industry for insurance in the US is so big. First of all, there's a huge insurance industry here in the US. That's why mandatory insurance is enforced, because there's an industry behind it, there's a government that enforces it, and there's a citizen, in the other side trying to pay their bills every day, and then you have an extra bill for insurance for your home, for your car, for your life, for everything. US lives out of insurance money industry, and especially for your home if you still have a mortgage. So how does it work in Mexico? First of all, I think it's important to talk about the material and the way houses are built in different countries. If a hurricane goes through Florida, just like the story from the three little piggies, right? Like, how do you build your house is so important. If you're in Florida, probably the hurricane goes by and your house is made of paper, the wind might take it away, and you need a higher insurance to protect your weak house. But if you're in other countries, let's say Mexico, where people build to last, the constructions are made of concrete, so if a wind goes by, if the bad wolf comes and blows your house away, guess what? It's not gonna go as bad because it's made of solid concrete. So there's two different types of homes. There's two types of industries that are different in different countries, and there's different types of enforcing insurance policies into homeowners. So it's a good topic that I thought we'll be able to talk about today, because the hurricane is coming and we don't know what's going to happen one way or another. So let's play both scenarios, okay? The bad wolf comes to Mexico and tries to blow this house away. The house is made of concrete, so it's going to stay steady. Probably it's going to break a window or two. Maybe it's going to take the furniture out of the balcony and might blow it away. But the house and the structure are pretty solid. So the reason I'm talking about this is because, in Florida, the insurance for the homes just went up really high. Like, citizens in the state of Florida are complaining that their insurance, I don't know if it went double, but in some cases it did. So your house looks the same, but there's more risk because of the weather, and the insurance goes double. There goes your bills, your monthly payments will go higher. Well, that's not the same in other countries. So let's talk about other areas that can get affected by the hurricanes, which will be Puerto Rico, maybe Dominican Republic, Mexico, all the area of the Caribbean, right? And each country has their own way of how they do things. But I want to just make sure that you understand that if it's not mandatory, you will still have to put a fund as little savings just in case something goes wrong because of the weather. But many people in Mexico prefer to just put money out of their own pocket to fix their own issues when they need it, but not every month paying to a company that they will help when they most need it. So since insurance is not a regulated industry in Mexico, real estate, it's not regulated either, the insurance industry is not totally enforced both ways. Like, not enforced so you don't have to have it, but it's also not enforced by the government if you need it and the company doesn't perform on this policy that you have. So many of my clients ask me, hey, should I get insurance for my house now that I'm in Mexico and I'm in an area that could be hit by a storm? I will say always, just consult with a broker, an insurance broker, and we'll have an interview with one of them later on today, and he explained step by step on what type of insurances you can have, what it will protect, and what you might or might not need. And that will be based on each case scenario. Each client is different. So just keep that in mind, because I get that question asked all the time. The most common question I get when I get a buyer from North America, either US or Canada, is what happens if somebody comes into my home, they slip, trip and fall and break a table. And the most common joke in Mexico is that, well, they better fix your table. Like, nobody is so concerned. People don't really think about this, there's a lawsuit at the end of every action that somebody does in your house, and you have that risk on you, because that stress only comes from the US. I mean, I'm sorry, but we're stressed out in the US that we need insurance for everything, because we're suing each other all the time. Like, sometimes it's not even necessary. But people live out of these scams and insurance and suing people, because that's a whole industry. When you step out of that circle and the mindset of fear that what is going to happen, I'm going to need to get this insurance because something bad is going to happen, which is a valid fear. When you step out of that and you don't have that enforcement, first in Mexico, yes, there are accidents, there are hurricanes, there's things that can go wrong, there are things that can break, but people don't stress about it as much because they will address that issue when it comes, and not fearing, for many years and years and years paying for an insurance that they might or might not use, but they are based out of fear, so they buy it just in case something bad happens. In the US, you always have to assume something bad is going to happen because people are thinking, like, how can I take advantage of this situation? How can I sue somebody? How can I, get an attorney to just cause some trouble so I can make some money? In Mexico, it's more like, well, if nothing bad happened, we'll figure it out later. Like, if you fall, we'll help you. We'll take you to the hospital. We'll figure it out together. Like you and I. We don't need a third-party person to tell us what to do, tell us how to live our lives, tell us to spend money in a company every single month for something you might or might not need. In Mexico, it's very different. They're like, okay, we'll address the issue when it comes. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on this? I can talk about insurance and my opinion about that, and how we in the US get pushed and forced to have insurance for everything, even for our dogs. So although I understand, the need behind it, I also understand what is living a simple life without stress and fear mindset, right? Like, if we are in a country that we're nurturing and incentivizing fear, that you have to have this insurance in case something bad happens, and there's an industry to support it, of course we're going to be living in this fear rat race of being like always aware that somebody's going to sue us. And in the other side, in Mexico, I feel people live more a simple life. Like, you will address the issue when it comes. You will help the person that is in your home if something bad happens, or you will fix the window if a hurricane comes and breaks it. So right now we're doing our homework. For example, the hurricane that came through Acapulco, right? We're checking which companies were the first responders when that happened, and actually perform on the insurance claims. So we don't recommend anybody we don't know, we haven't worked personally with. So we'll not be able to recommend an insurance like for sure is gonna perform in case of disaster. So right now we're checking and vetting all the companies that were present in the Acapulco hurricane, and which are the companies rebuilding, giving the funds, and helping the citizens of that area, so their insurance money went to a good place and now is actually being used. So stay tuned for our interview with our insurance broker coming up. To make sure that you understand anything that has to do with insurances, just know that in Mexico it's not mandatory, it's not a bill you have to pay, but probably is a bucket that you want to put some savings on. So now my conclusion for this video is to remember the 3 little piggies and the bad wolf, right? Make sure that when you build your house, it's made to last, it's not made of paper, because if you build accordingly, you just have to worry about less things down the line. For me, I like a construction well done. Mexico has been a good place for us to, we have a construction team over there that does all the layout, from architecture to design to construction to property management. So we are seeing this firsthand, and we can't wait to share with you more information about what happens with insurance that we find that are really good for the citizens, and if clients that are asking for it, we are able to provide the service for them or recommendations, and also to make sure that you build your house accordingly. To me, there's nothing better than doing things right from the beginning, especially in the construction process. So if you're building your house correctly, strong, and by the code and how it's supposed to be, you have to worry less on what's going to happen down the line, because you're doing a product that is made to last. So yeah, until next time, my friends, hopefully this chat was helpful when it comes to homeowners insurance for your home in case of a hurricane. If you have any questions, post them in the description. As always, happy to help. See you next time.